Okay, so I wanted to do something separate from the podcast. Was kind of looking at game results over the weekend, doing a little scoreboard watching, and I found myself going, "Wow, that was a big win! Wow, that was a big win too! Shit, that was a big win!" So I'm introducing a new segment. Wanted to do it separate from the podcast. The pod is already pretty loaded with a lot of content, whether we're updating the rankings or we're highlighting games of the week and making pick predictions and all that type of stuff. So the podcast is already pretty loaded as is, and going on just about an hour of youth hockey talk for you. So I wanted to do something different as I was scoreboard watching and looking back at the weekend that was. And we're going to do a new segment called "That's a Big Win." Big win. A lot of big wins over the weekend. Wanted to highlight some of those. Get a little knee-jerk reaction from the weekend and games. So I'll start right off the top here. There was an East-West showcase at East Lansing. Some top teams from the East Side, some top teams from the West Side. Split the difference. They met halfway at Munn Ice Arena. One of those matchups, Granville beat Cranbrook 4-1, and that's a big win. It's a big win for Granville. Aiden Karras in net with 23 saves in that one. Granville is a game under 500, but all of those losses are pretty close, pretty competitive games. A three-goal game in there, 2-goal game, 1-goal game. Even in defeat, Granville had kept things close and been gritty and scrappy in those games. So it's nice to see them break through and get a pretty big, important win over Cranbrook over the weekend. Another one here, Romeo over Stony Creek. This was a big win to me, anyways. 4-1. They added an empty net goal there to make it 4-1. So a close game. This was one of the games I had in my picks segment last week, I should say. I took Stony Creek. I like Stony Creek a lot. Super talented bunch. A lot of good forwards up front that I like. So for Romeo to basically shut them down, hold them to just 1 goal, while also producing a good amount of offense on their own as well, is pretty impressive. It's a big win, like I said. So Spencer Groskowitz with a 3-point night in that one. So big performance from him, big performance from Romeo there. So tip of the cap there to the Bulldogs. Eastside over Sault Ste. Marie, 1-0. This was pretty shocking to me. 0-0 going deep into the third period. Reed Drouer in net made 37 saves in a shutout win there over Sault Ste. Marie. They were outshot 3-1 in that game, so really Drouer was the reason. Evan Warner broke through on the power play to score the game-winning goal there late in the game. The Sioux is a damn solid team. They're really solid. I think there's a lot of unknowns around that program too, because they don't come south really. Only the teams that they play are the ones who can kind of see them and vouch for them, so to speak. So there's just a lot of mystery around Sault Ste. Marie, I'll say. But they got big wins over Lakeland, Traverse City Central. They beat Lumen Christi the night after losing this game. So Sault Ste. Marie kind of has a pretty good resume in their own right to come in and steal one there on the road. That's a big win. Big for Eastside. Another one here, Liggett 4-3 over M1 United. That's M1's first loss of the season. Charlie Price, that group had really been rolling through the early parts of the season. Finally hit a speed bump there. Liggett able to get the win. That gets Coach Colin Smith to 6-3-0 on the season. Could be a bit of a launching point for them as we turn into the holidays and then into New Year. One more here, White Lake Lakeland 3-2 over Midland. I think that's a big win. That's a big win for them. Team leader Timmy Hinkle had a goal and an assist in that one. He's had a big career. He's off to a big start this season as well. So no surprise there. I think that Hinkle kind of leading the charge there for Lakeland. But 3-2, it's a big win. Clarkston 2-1 over De La Salle. That's a big win. Big win for Clarkston. De La Salle had been rolling a little bit. They'd won 4 games in a row. They were on a bit of a hot streak there. Clarkston, meanwhile, had hung with Brighton not once but twice. Played them tough at the Thanksgiving Invitational. A couple weeks later, played them again in just a regular season matchup. Played Brighton tough again, but couldn't get that kind of signature win. Hadn't really had a signature win over a top team since beating Flint Powers on opening weekend. So for the Wolves to kind of get back and get another feather in their cap with a big 2-1 win there over De La Salle gets them to 7-2-0 on the season. Ronnie Wade, Kyle Lynch, my guys, both cracking through and scoring goals in that one. So that's a big win for Clarkston. Last one here, Trenton 3-2 over U of D. Those are two tough teams. Saw both of them up close in action at the KLAA MIHL showcase last weekend. U of D, I've talked glowingly about them. Super talented bunch. There's a lot of skill on that team, and it showed. Right, they put 31 shots on goal, or 33 shots on goal on Noah Miklos. He made 31 saves. They outshot Trenton 33-20 based on the game notes. So U of D, I would say more skilled. Definitely maybe outchanced them in that one. Overwhelmed Trenton to some degree, right? When you're out shooting someone 3-2, you're carrying the play and generating a lot of opportunities. But I think this says a lot about Trenton's grit, willingness to battle, block shots, eat pucks, do some of the dirty things you got to do in order to win games. It says a lot about them. Miklos standing tall in net, 3 different goal scorers in that one. Trenton is a team I'm really starting to come around on a lot because of games like this, where they might be out skilled or they might not have the flash and dash, but they're willing to muck it up along the boards, not take shit in front of the net, push people around, do the dirty work that you got to do to scratch and claw and come away with 3-2 wins like they did on Saturday night. So that's a big win for Trenton. Last thing I wanted to mention here, just because I feel like I'm getting a ton of these notifications lately, a lot of players hitting the 100-point mark. And that's something we should definitely be celebrating. I want to kind of celebrate and acknowledge anyone who hits that milestone. I think that says a lot, regardless of who you play for, where you played, who you're playing against. I don't think it really matters when it comes to that, because if you're hitting the 100-point plateau, you've been producing at a very impressive clip, and you've been doing it for an extended period of time in the high school hockey space. So definitely think that's worth celebrating. And want to make note of it. A couple of the ones I saw, Noah LaValle from Marysville hit the century mark over the weekend. Cade Pratt for Byron Center put up a 4-point performance over the weekend to get himself to the 100-point mark. So those are 2 that were fresh in my mind. I know Lane Petit and Cam Duffney, I believe, both hit the century mark for Brighton this season as well. There's a couple others out there I know that I've gotten notifications or seen it on Instagram and social media. So if I'm missing any of those, feel free to shoot me a message and let me know, because that's a big deal, and I definitely want to highlight that. So, okay, new segment, big win. It's a big win. I'm obviously got my ear to the ground and checking scores and all that stuff, but obviously you guys are way closer to it, way more dialed in. You're going to know, hey, this was, I think back a couple weeks ago, Kalamazoo United got its first conference win in over 2 years, right? I'm looking for some of that stuff. That's a big win. So if you think you've got a big win, you got a big win you want to champion, or you want to shout out, feel free to hit me up and reach out and DM me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You know where to find me by now. You can also email me, contactpdspicks@gmail.com. I will absolutely take requests for big wins, but I'll do my due diligence and check and make sure, fact check whether it really is a big win or what it may be. So definitely take those requests as well. Again, you want to see more of this type of stuff, we can do little breakouts, stuff separate from the podcast itself. So if you want to see any of that, or you want any topics you want me to touch on, happy to do it. So again, you like this, show me some support in the form of subscribes. How about that? I think that works for me. So yeah, you want to see more of this, like, subscribe here on YouTube, connect with me on social media, shoot me your nominees for big wins over the weekend. And maybe we'll make this a little recurring thing in addition to the podcast, because if there's one thing I know, it's that I can never get enough high school hockey talk. So anyways, until next time, until later in the week, we'll get the podcast out a little bit later in the week. We'll have updated rankings, games of the week, but maybe it might be a little funny week for that with the holiday coming up. I know the schedule slows down a little bit, but it'll pick back up maybe this time next. No, not this time next week. Later on next week, we'll definitely pick back up. I know there's some holiday showcases and tournaments and things like that. So plenty on the horizon, plenty to talk about. Until next time, skate hard, have fun. I'll see you at the rink soon.